Good morning, everyone. Well, it's been a little while since we did our last video, but I am back. It has been a wild and crazy year, hasn't it? But today we are going to continue with Elijah and Elisha. And sometimes we have to have courage when things are bad and things are hard. But sometimes we have to have courage when we have really great opportunity and really good things are coming into our life. We still have to have courage to be brave enough to step forward into them. And that is what happens to Elisha today. We are still in 2 Kings and we are in chapter 2. So get your Bible and read it with me as I read it out loud. It's good for you to see the words of God and not just listen, but if you can just listen, of course, that is wonderful too. Now, listen to this. This is a wild story. Verse 1, when the Lord was about to take Elijah up to heaven in a whirlwind, Elijah and Elisha were traveling from Gilgal, and Elijah said to Elisha, "Stay here, for the Lord has told me to go to Bethel." But Elisha replied, "As surely as the Lord lives and you yourself live, I will never leave you." So they went down together to Bethel. Now Elijah Elijah was told that Elisha was to be the next prophet after him. So Elijah kind of is like the teacher, the mentor for Elisha. And Elijah knows this, but still he tells him, don't worry about it. I may be going home with the Lord, but you just stay here. And Elisha says that he will never leave him. He had committed his life to Elijah because he wanted to follow after the Lord. So he refuses to leave him. The group of prophets from Bethel came to Elisha and asked him, "Did you know that the Lord is going to take your master away from you today?" "Of course I know," Elisha answered, "but be quiet about it." See, Elijah hadn't really said that to Elisha, but Elisha knew evidently, and so did the other prophets. Then Elijah said to Elisha, "Stay here, for the Lord has told me to go to Jericho." What do you think Elisha's going to say? He's going to say, "No, I'm not staying. I'm going to stay with you forever." So Elisha went with Elijah to Jericho. Then the group of prophets from Jericho came out. Did you know that the Lord is going to take your master away from you today?" "Of course I know," Elisha answered, "but be quiet about it." Then Elijah said to Elisha, "Stay here, for the Lord has told me to go to the Jordan River." So you think Elisha's going to stay behind and leave his master? No way, is he? He said the same thing, "As surely as the Lord lives and you yourself live, I will never leave you." So they went on together. 50 men from the group of prophets also went and watched from a distance as Elijah and Elisha stopped beside the Jordan River. Then Elijah folded his cloak together and struck the water with it. The river divided, and the two of them went across on dry ground. So it was a miracle, wasn't it? When they came to the other side, Elijah said to Elisha, "Tell me what I can do for you before I am taken away." So Elijah knows that Elisha is serious about following after God and following the call that God has on his life. So he says, "What do you want me to do for you?" And Elisha wants to have a double share of Elijah's spirit and to become his successor, which means he wants to walk in the power and the authority that God had given Elijah. He wants it even more. He wants even twice as much. And Elijah tells him, "You've asked a difficult thing, but if you see me when I'm taken from you, then you will get your request. But if not, then you won't." So as they were walking along and talking, suddenly a chariot of fire appeared, drawn by horses of fire. It drove between the two men, separating them, and Elijah was carried by a whirlwind into heaven. Elisha saw it. He saw it and cried out, my father, I see the chariots and charioteers of Israel. And as they disappeared from sight, Elisha tore his clothes in distress. In that time period, it was common that when someone left you, if they died or whatever, that they would tear their clothes in grief. And this is what Elisha did. He tore his clothes. Then Elisha picked up Elijah's cloak because it had fallen to the ground when he was taken up. And Elisha returned to the Jordan River. And what he does an act of courage. He chooses to believe that God has indeed given him Elijah's spirit, or the Spirit of God, actually. And he struck the water with Elijah's cloak, and he cried out, where is the Lord, the God of Elijah? In other words, are you with me like you were with Elijah? And what do you think happens? Yes, the rivers parted just like they did when Elijah struck the river, and Elisha went across. So the group of prophets from Jericho saw that, and they knew that Elijah's spirit rests upon Elisha. So Elisha received the power and the authority from God to be the prophet for Israel. So they went to him and bowed down to the ground before him and said, just say the word, and 50 of our strongest men will search the wilderness for your master. Perhaps the Spirit of the Lord has left him on some mountain or in some valley. And Elisha said, no, don't send them. But they kept urging him, so they went away, and they looked for 3 days and couldn't find Elijah. And then when they came back, Elisha said, didn't I tell you not to go? So Elisha knew that he was to be the next successor, but he still had the courage. He still had to have the courage to press through and to become that. Because sometimes when you're on this side of becoming something or doing something great, you just don't know for sure, but you hope and you believe, and it takes courage to go ahead and try for it and to go ahead and go for it. And in this situation, Elijah went for it, and he had the power and authority that Elijah did as well. And his very first miracle he did was for Jericho. They came out to him and they said, we have a problem. We love our town, but the water is bad and the land is unproductive. So Elijah told him to bring him a bowl of salt, and he took the salt to the spring and threw it in the water, because the Lord had said that he would purify the water and it would no longer cause death or infertility. So Elisha is brave and courageous to do what God tells him to do. He threw some salt into a spring, because throwing salt into a spring wouldn't make it pure water, would it? No, it only made it pure water because God told him to do it, and when he obeyed, God caused the miracle to happen. So Elisha was brave and courageous to step out and to do what he's called to do. And you and me, we both need to be courageous too, to be the boys and girls or the women and men that we're called to be, and do the things that we're called to do. So I hope today that you trust in God and look to him when you need to step up and be courageous to be great and to do great things. All right, I'll see you soon. Bye.